Thanks for joining us. I'm Tracie Wells with TVWebCity.
And I'm Shari Fennell with Indianapolis Women Online, and we're forming a media partnership to talk about the issues that women care about the most.
So there's 5 candidates in this race. It kind of reminds me of the Julia Carson seat. When she died, Andre Carson is running, and then also 7 other people. Well, those 7 other people accumulated a winning total of the vote, but they split it so much that, you know, Andre won. That's kind of what happened last time, isn't it, with Dan Burton? Didn't McGough?
A little bit. I mean, you know, I think some of the environment has changed. I think, listen, there may not be 35% of the vote that goes to the prior congressman in this next election. That said, I think consolidating the field would be helpful, because you're right. I mean, there is only a certain percentage of people who are going to vote against the incumbent
And there's only a certain
congressman.
amount of money to go around, too. It's making it really hard, I would think, on the challengers to divide up the Republican Party, divide up the money, and
Well, so, I mean, so far we've been very fortunate in that we've raised, you know, well more than half of all dollars raised by the challengers. We're about to announce, or probably will announce here soon, a very big list of endorsements that show that, you know, more than a majority of the opinion leaders are siding our way as well. You know, one of the things I believe in this race is that the community is looking for new leadership, and I wouldn't bet against the community. They have a way of figuring things out.
And when I was interviewing Luke Messer, and he was sitting right there, and I didn't get a chance because they started talking more about politics, but he was talking about the generational change. And I wanted to ask him, do you change diapers? And so I asked him out in the hall when he was leaving, I said, do you change diapers? And or did you change diapers? He has a 7, a 5,
3
and
children,
2.
2-year-olds.
And he goes, yeah. He thought that was the weirdest question. And I said, right there, that's how a woman is going to judge you. Really.
Well, I think, you know, some of it's my life experience, some of it's just generational. I mean, I did grow up in a single parent family. I had a mother leading our family in my life from the time I was very, very young. And so I'm used to women in leadership. I certainly have a woman in leadership in my family. I think elected leaders that are trying to reach out to women have to first understand that women are voters who care about the economy and care about national security and all the other things that men voters care about. I think they also, though, want to know where you're coming from a little bit more, and maybe the why behind your positions than just kind of the what.
I do want to talk about things that get stuck places, and maybe in real life situations and relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and especially I think that women probably talk about those dynamics much more than men do, at least, you know, on a video talk show.
That's right. They talk about it over beer and sports. They slip it in. They do talk a lot.
It has to have,
actually
but do
get
they
men
really
in,
talk
yeah,
about it? It has to have a sports analogy.
It has to have a balance.
It has to be, you know, can't you help me move the ball down the field here, honey?
It depends on the age groups, too. I find that as men get older, and everybody loses hormones, right? So men get more in touch with their feminine. They actually do. A lot of men in my age range, because they talk about stuff. It's really interesting.
So that's why a second marriage is better
That's
than a
why
first.
yes, see, there you go. It's not the dress rehearsal, the trial run.
Right.
So do you find that in the people that you counsel, that relationships and marriage, divorce, I'm recently divorced, is that one of the main reasons
Oh,
that people
absolutely,
come to
because
see
people
you?
want to be happy. And we don't gravitate toward what's bad or good. We attract people because they're familiar. And until you learn to discern, many times we end up marrying
Same type of person.
or we repeat people that were familiar from our mother or father, our brother or sister, and we find what was familiar.
First time.
Oh, yeah.
I married my father.
Yeah, it's frightening. I did too.
I
People even
swore I
said,
would
you look
never
like
do
him, and
that.
I was like, no.
And I look now, and I think that there was something to that. And
Oh, there is.
I think the first time taught me exactly what I don't want.
Right, sometimes we have to find out what we don't want to manifest what we do.
Right. So
That's right on.
while I didn't do the same thing, I have done complete opposite. I had completely what I didn't want, you know, all the things I grew up with that I didn't
Sure.
want. And now I've picked completely what I do.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes. Very happy for you. Exactly. I can tell. Do you find that you meet a lot of bitter women these days?
and I try to get people to take responsibility, because again, We have choices, and that's where we have to take responsibility. It's like, it's a magnet. We attract people for a reason, and I say, it's like Jesus and Buddha said, embrace evil, you know, and there's truth to it. If you polarize with the things that you have problems with, or with you still have this bitter thing about your ex-husband or this person, it's going to just have power. You want to, I tell people, kill that person off, whether it be a mother, father, brother, sister, you know, boyfriend, husband, whatever. See them by their first name. See them as a child, as a baby. Anything you've ever wanted to say to them, I don't care if it's negative, yell, scream, get it out of your system, then replace that role, that archetype, with their first name. And then see them just as a little baby, and the forgiveness starts to come. Because we choose these lessons. That's the other thing. A lot of reasons why people stay in relationships for a long time too. You look back and you think, why did I stay there so long? You know?
Right.
But there's things you had to finish. There's things you had to work out. You had matching pictures of things to heal. And too many times people make very abrupt breaks, and then they jump right into another relationship. And that can work sometimes, but a lot of times, you know, it's like jumping into the fire. It's
From the frying pan into
the fire,
another
the
frying pan.
fire. Yeah, and it's fascinating with people though. There's so much we can learn from not blaming. I mean, we can yell and scream, we should, and get it out of our systems, but then say, okay, what was my part?
Absolutely. So then for people who are married, I think maybe a great column could be, or a great blog for us could be, how do you make your marriage before it dissolves like your second marriage? How do you make your first marriage
In other
like
words,
a
how do you
second
start
marriage?
something entirely new?
There you
Put a
go.
new spin
How do
on
you change it?
You know, I think that this is a wonderful place to stop and pick up, because you and I were having this conversation. I was saying how, you know, we really wanted to learn how to communicate better, and you said, I think that that's the best idea I've heard, is go to someone,
Absolutely.
get professional, you know, advice and structure on how to communicate before the crisis hit.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Marilyn.
Oh, thank
we want
you. I
to
enjoyed
ask
it.
you and get answers on some other things if you'll join us.
Absolutely.
And
Happy
we know
to.
that we're going to be raiding Natalie's house again here soon, because we like sitting and drinking coffee.
I love that house.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Well, we're talking kids. I mean, these are really huge topics that are very interesting.
Absolutely.
And does Halloween candy actually do anything to your teeth?
Oh, this is something that I found interesting. I was talking to Natalie about this. I didn't tell her that we were going to be necessarily discussing Halloween candy and teeth, but I said, you know, can you imagine going trick-or-treating with kids and then taking their bag of Halloween candy and saying it's too bad for your teeth and I'm going to go turn this in to the dentist?
And I
Can you
said, I
imagine?
do it. What I do
Well,
is I
you
say,
don't just take them. No, she did.
yes, I do.
No,
Here's
you
what I
let them
say.
take
Well,
some.
there's a balance. I say you can have 20 pieces out of there, and for the next 20 days you can have a piece, and I put the rest in a huge basket and I take it to the office, and everybody at work can enjoy it.
There is a doctor in Indianapolis who does have some tips for families, for parents and for children. Here are some of the things that Halloween candy can do to your teeth, but of course, as you just said, there's a balance.
Hi, I'm Janae for TVWebCity. It's that time of year again where the Halloween candy is going to be coming in and out of the house. We wanted to know, what kind of damage does it really do to a child's teeth? We've decided to ask the experts and are visiting a pediatric dentist. So let's go talk to Dr. Charles Poland.
Remember you had bean biters, you had pizza chewers. Do you remember that one chicken nugget nibbler that we saw last time? You remember it was one right up in front? I'm not the dentist that hands out toothbrushes at Halloween, and when kids come to my house on Halloween, we're going to have fun. And frankly, they're going to get Snicker bars because that's my favorite. Parents need to remember that any time any kind of sugar goes through the mouth, there's going to be a 20 to 30 minute period when that sugar is converted to acid, and the acid starts to weaken the tooth toward making a cavity. So if you think about how foods are eaten, you know, we want to eat the foods that are, if they have a high sugar content, eat the foods that are over with quick, and get on to healthier foods, or that's enough of the snack, rather than these foods that you nibble and sip all the time. Bite 'em. Yep, look at them tap dance. Get that on the camera, see them tap dance? Give me 5. Good job. Good job. I think parents should monitor how much candy they bring home. I think it's extremely important that parents look closely at those pieces of candy and how it's packaged, and make sure that everything there has a commercial wrapper on it.
Got a good smile.
He told me you were doing a good job brushing his teeth.
I learned.
Video blogging, I think, which is a very cool thing that we should do much more of.
I came up with this idea watching Natalie and her 11-year-old daughter Samantha fight about a party.
That's fair.
And I said, you know what? We absolutely need you, Samantha, to tell your 11-year-old side of this, and not in a, oh, I want to go to the party, but a, perhaps if my mother would have listened to XYZ, you know, she would have come to a different conclusion. My advice to a parent would be, you know, to listen next time before rendering down a judgment. And then Natalie can kind of explain the situation, and hopefully, if we do some video, you know, put those two in front of a camera for a couple minutes.
So, Tracie was over the other day and we were discussing some ideas for the show. And my daughter Sam, who is 11, decided to come up and get Tracie's opinion on something, which is that she would like to go to a boy-girl Halloween party. Her father and I feel, we have mixed feelings, let's just say, on this issue. And at our house, when there's an issue that takes some serious conversation, our PC term for it is passionate dialogue. And as she was explaining to Tracie why she thought it was important that she should be able to go to this boy-girl party, and I was explaining why I had some issues with the fact, Tracie thought it would be so interesting to be able to capture this on a video blog and share it with everyone. So I understand how important the social thing is for tweens. Being 10, 11, 12, and in middle school wouldn't be easy. Those are certainly years that I don't want to revisit, I know that. With middle school being that tough, I understand how important social is, and I need for Sam to understand how important it is that schoolwork comes first. She meets, you know, all of her requirements for getting her homework done on time, getting good grades, doing her best, going above and beyond, not just the bare minimum. Sports commitments, it's really important that she be involved in sports and stay active as well. Helping out around the house with different chores, helping out with her younger brothers, her two younger brothers who can, you know, it's a big job in and of itself for a middle schooler, but helping out with them as well. If those things are met, again, I understand how important the social issue is, and I completely support it. However, when there's a situation where there's a boy-girl party, and we're not completely sure exactly who would be there and what's going on, that's where we had a little bit of an issue. My concern is, it's really hard as a mom to not always know or be involved in what's going on with her on a day-to-day basis, you know, who she's hanging out with, what are they talking about, and as much as you want to try to have a really close relationship, it can be tough because you don't know what's always going on. And you can't always prepare them for everything that they're going to face. So as much as you can talk about tons of issues and how you should deal with them when they come up, you just aren't always there to help them. And I know that's part of letting go and letting the eagle fly from the nest, but nonetheless, it's hard for me.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm 11, and my mom and I were having a disagreement. Well, as she calls it, a passionate, whatever she calls it, a passionate dialogue. And we were talking about going to a boy-girl Halloween party. And I want to go to this boy-girl Halloween party because my mom gives me a lot of expectations to follow, and I think I'm pretty sure I follow all of them. I also really think social time is important for girls and for boys, is because you don't, when you're in middle school like this, when you get up to like college and stuff, and when you're looking at scrapbooks that you want to have pictures of you and your friends having just a fun time. Being in middle school is supposed to be a really fun year, especially since you're just getting started with middle school and getting ready for high school and college. And I think that going to a boy-girl party it's a step in maturity, because my mom, I know she trusts me a lot, but maybe she doesn't trust me enough to give me the full respect of going to this boy-girl party, because sometimes she doesn't trust everything I do, and I respect that. But I think that my mom should trust me just enough to let me go here, to go to this party.
So we just thought we'd start putting in a blog. So
It'll
the
be
tweens, which are the kind of the middle school kids, and then the parents can kind of have this outlet to help us, help me, Parents, please, moms, help me.
Help
And
everyone
tweens,
out.
please help Samantha. Help
And
us decide the
communication
best
is
thing
so
to do.
important at that age.
It is
It's
so
very
important.
Tough
And it's
age.
tough. Being a middle school girl, it's tough.
I remember that was the
Tough.
toughest part for me.
Oh, it's hard.
Toughest
Hard
age group.
years.
I just remember.
Yeah.
Really
Oh,
tough
it's
for me.
awful. You hate being you, much less, you know, having to deal with
And I
your
think
kids.
it's so much challenging now than it was for us
It
growing up.
is. Okay, here's my issue with that. My first issue is the fact that it might not always be about you and what you're doing. Sometimes it's about what other people are choosing to do. And having the strength and the confidence in yourself to be able to say no to those things or make your own decisions, that peer pressure is extremely difficult. And I can understand how hard that would be, especially for people in middle school when you don't want to make people mad, you want to make friends. And even though you might not agree with something that's going on, to know that you have the strength and the confidence to be able to say, absolutely not, I'm not going to do that. And even though people are still giving you peer pressure about it, that you're going to be able to say, no, this is what I believe in. And if you don't like that, too bad.
I think it's good that you care about me, but I think if you care about me, you would trust me enough to let me go to this party.
Why?
Because trust between a mother and a daughter is really strong.
It should be, but
It's
it
a
has.
bond.
Okay, trust has to be proven and earned. Trust isn't just like, here's your free gift of trust because you came from my womb.
What haven't I done what have I done to disobey your trust? What have I done to break your trust?
What's right here? What is this? Are you allowed to have this in your room?
No.
Oh, the dog didn't hide it too well. Trust. You did not follow the rules. Trust. You just got totally busted on our video blog. Whoops. Trust. There you go. Wow, didn't see that coming.
Say
did
another
ya?
one. That isn't really fair. Say another one.
That's not fair.
No, say another one.
Oh my God, that's not fair.
Say another one.
Let's say that you were at a party, okay, and something was going wrong that you knew was not right. You knew that we would disapprove of, or that just made you feel uncomfortable. How would you handle it? What would you do?
Well, yet again, I've never really been to a party at all. So, well, except for birthday parties and stuff. But I think that if something were to go wrong, you know that I have my cell phone, and you know that if anything were to go wrong, I could text you guys or call you guys and say, hey, I'm not really having a good time. Things aren't really working out here. Can you come pick me up? And I know that you would say, yeah, sure.
Okay, so, but what if it was something where we might be mad at you?
You wouldn't be mad at me because I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything. Like, if there was something bad happening, if other girls were doing bad things, I wouldn't be a part of that little group. I would be over with my friends just talking.
Okay, so what do you think those bad things are that I'm afraid of?
Kissing, stuff like that.
Kissing, stuff like that. Exactly. Exactly.
But you trust me, and you know I would never do that, Mom.
Okay, but at some point in your life, you're going to get to that place where that stuff's going to come up. And
15,
it freaks
16,
me out.
17, when I'm a teenager.
Can we please keep that for posterity so that I can say, look, you promised 15, 16, 17. No kissing till 15, 16, 17. Is that a promise?
No.
See? Exactly my point.
Like, well, I'm not saying kissing at 12 or 13 or not even 14. Yeah, so 15, 16, 17. Ages like that.
Be careful.
Because-
Be careful of the commitments you make.
Because
girl.
I think that that's like really young for stuff like that. I think you shouldn't even be involved in a real relationship and stuff. I think real relationship really start when you have a car and you can be able to go out places.
Okay, but seriously, you know that there are people going out in your grade.
Mhm.
In all fairness.
Mhm.
Okay.
Those are those people, not me.
Let's say you go, and let's say something happens that doesn't work out so well, and you prove that we can't trust you. What should the consequence be?
I think the consequence should be that I should get no computer privileges and I don't really get any social time for like a month or two for what I did. Well, it depends on what it is. If you think it's really bad, really super bad, I get my electronic privileges taken away, which means my cell phone, my iPod, and my computer taken away for a month, and I wouldn't get any social privileges like no sleepovers, no fun parties or whatever.
I do not have a problem with you going, as long as there's an adult with you, and there's adult supervision, that A, we call and know what parents are going to be there, that they confirm that yes, indeed, the kids are going to be here, this is what's going to be going on, these are the adults that are there, and that you have supervision as well, and that we feel comfortable and know that we can trust the supervision that you're going to have. I have no problem with that at all whatsoever. However, I will tell you this too. With freedom comes responsibility. And the freedom that you're asking for, because you're saying that you have the maturity to handle it, as we give you more freedom, your responsibility can be taken away. Because if you do indeed get in a sticky situation and don't handle yourself well, and you know what? It's going to happen. That's part of growing up. And I'm going to be frustrated but not mad if you talk to me about it and you keep the dialogue open. But again, when you break our trust by not using your freedom wisely, you're going to lose some responsibility. So every time we give you a little bit more, you absolutely have to remember that it's a gift you've been given. And how you handle it and what you do with it is going to make all the difference for the future things you get to do. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So be careful about what you ask for.
So you're going to say you're letting me go?
I don't mind. We've compromised. We check everything out. Adult supervision. Your dad goes with you. I'm totally fine with that.
Okay.
And you have been blogging, and we're going to be adding some video to your blog.
Right. Mm-hmm.
On any issues in particular you want to talk about?
Well, I definitely want to talk about parenting and relationships. I think that's really some of the issues that women are concerned about the most. When we write stories and put them in the magazine, we get a lot of people calling us wanting to talk a little bit more about topics, and usually relationships are the big ones. Kids and spouses are significant others.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I'll look forward to
What are you going to write about?
Oh, I have lots to write about. Lots of topics. I mean, just balancing. I mean, life's balance for women and our demands. I mean, I'm looking at my life a totally different way of rebuilding. I'm in a rebuilding phase right now. So for me, it's very tough being a single mom and being responsible for everything. So, you know, and having a child and just having to keep all those things in perspective and be dedicated to my work and be dedicated first and foremost to my child. So I'll have a lot to say, don't worry.
And of course you can go to TracieWells.com and see what I've been blogging about, everything from politics to petunias, I think. You know? But it's fun, and that's the way that we can create a conversation and a dialogue with you, the viewer. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tracie Wells with TVWebCity.
And I'm Shari Fennell with Indianapolis Women Online. Thanks for joining us.